Welcome everyone. I'm Jamie. If you don't know me, if this is your first time coming to one of my webinars, thank you for being here. And if you've been here before, pleasure to have you back, and hopefully can show you one or two things that might be new to you. Typically, how I run this is I keep everybody on mute until the end, and I get through what's new. And then at the end, we'll have time for Q&A, and you can ask questions. And if anything pops up for you throughout my webinar, just drop it in the chat. You can type it in, and I will get to it as it comes up or at the end. So feel free to fire questions into the chat. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, yeah, there's always a couple extras in there. So our mission here, we're trying to give you back some time in your day. And I've got a fun agenda today, a couple new updates that should help. A couple on desktop, including how to switch users quickly, refresher on using My Words, a few updates on the web, including find and replace, how to bulk archive your notes, pin your favorite note templates in your Taka texts, and a few updates to our default templates as well. Some tweaks to how the default SOAP is working right now, some changes to the multi-pet template, some changes that have occurred in the assessment section of our SOAP. And then I'm going to show you how to use custom notes in case you don't know how. It's become easier to use it, and I'm going to give you a cool trick on how to begin. And then we'll have some time for Q&A. So yeah, that's our agenda. Nothing has changed. Time is still a huge constraint in the practice, and we get pulled in 100 different directions. So we've built Talkatoo on all your platforms, and starting with desktop. So I'd like to share my screen and pull up the Talkatoo desktop app. One small change that you may have noticed over the last couple of days or weeks of using is that the desktop app will launch in whatever mode you had it in last. So if you quit from the menu, it'll pop back up either in the expanded mode or in the smaller collapsed mode for direct dictation. But that's a nice change. And so the first thing I want to show you is on the desktop app, and it's how to switch users. And switching users in the past, if you were using exclusively on the desktop app for recording your exams, was always a bit challenging. And it was challenging because you had to log out and log back in to the desktop app using your password. And that has always been a bit of a time constraint. And thankfully, that has been updated in the latest version of the desktop app. And if you're a solo user, you don't have multiple people using Talkatoo in your practice, breaking for you, but it is still interesting because if you have like a relief that comes into your practice and they're using Talkatoo as well, for example, they can also take advantage of this quick little update here. So what's new with the desktop app is your profile icon appears at the top right of your note inbox. And fun fact, you can change your profile icon in our website if you're not a fan of your assigned animal. To switch users, just open your profile icon, and then you can log in with a new account. And if you've never logged in to Talkatoo since this update with your other accounts in the clinic, just click log in with new account, and that will launch up the sign-in page. And I've never logged into this computer with this account, but once I do, it will be saved in my list. And if if I can remember my password, which I can't. So let's take you into my other account. And once you sign in, once you do that once, you'll now have both profiles saved. And so you can imagine if you had 5 or 6 people in the practice, you're all trying to use the desktop app. Just log in one more time and once, and then you'll have the option to just quickly switch between profiles. So just clicking the one you want, it just quickly restarts and it auto logs you in to your note inbox. Again, you can remove the users as well. So you can manage your users here. And if you decide you need to remove anybody, you can. But you can log in profiles even on a different subscription. So that example of a relief vet, you could still leverage that. Awesome. Yeah, so another feature of the desktop app that most people know about, but sometimes is forgotten, is My Words. And My Words is attached to your desktop app, and it lives inside of your menu. And My Words is essentially a library where you can add words in to Talkatoo's vocabulary. And in the past, it only affected the direct dictation results, which is when Talkatoo is collapsed and you're using it directly into your system, your practice management system. Nowadays, it affects all of your results. So that would be your direct dictations, your SOAP notes, and any results that come through from a phone call. And so if you haven't been using your My Words library, just a friendly reminder, it's just tucked in here to your menu. And it's now working across all results, which is great. Okay, I'm going to shift gears, take us out of the desktop app, and I'm going to take us into the web app. And for those of you who don't know, you can get to the web app from here very quickly by clicking Edit in Browser at the top of your note. That'll automatically launch up your web app. And of course, your web app displays all your notes, just like the desktop app, but there is some added functionality here. And what's brand new is Find and Replace, which is at the very top of your note. So click on your note. And then right above the transcript section here, you've got the Find and Replace button. And this is really helpful for editing errors that might be throughout your SOAP note. The best example would be the patient name, something that might repeat itself throughout the record a lot. It's a pain in the butt to go back and edit each instance of that. So click Find and Replace. You can look up a word or name, just type it in here. It will highlight it throughout the result. And then you can replace it with one correction rather than multiple. So just pick a new name or the correct word you wanted, replace all, and that affects your note throughout the record. Changes that you make here in the web app, let's say you're editing your note here or taking a look, they'll reflect here in your desktop app. So if you want to pull it over from here rather than the web app, it will update this. And one call out here is the refresh button, which is good to know about. If you're looking for a note here and you don't see it, hit the refresh button, the top right. And let's jump back into this note to check out that Find and Replace button again. Another thing here is you can match the case, which just means if you type something in capitalized here, it will do the same here. So in the final result, it'll capitalize it. That's what match case means. That was news to me when the button was added. Awesome. So another thing that I've noticed is overlooked a lot is just archiving notes. So when you're finished with a note, you've copied the entire note, you've pasted it into your PIMS, or you dragged and dropped it from the desktop app, your notes pile up on the left-hand side. And I've noticed just interacting with people over time, not everyone knows that you can bulk archive notes. So if you just click this button here, it'll highlight all the notes in your inbox. And if you have a lot in there and you haven't taken the step to complete and archive, that's a quick way to do it. And it'll archive all your notes. Also in the web app, a couple other changes here in the settings page. So let's navigate there together. And when you come to the settings page these days, it lands you in your global settings. I've talked about this before on a previous webinar, but global settings essentially change the text output and could affect the quality of your notes quite a bit. So let's say you are trying to use bullet points, but you have AVAMark as your practice management software. Those bullet points won't show up previously if you were using the original option. If you were to select plain text, those bullet points would be converted into hyphenated bullets. And so you'd still have a bullet list, a hyphenated bullet list. And so there's other examples. If you're an EasyVet and you're missing the bold formatting that you expect in your record, you could select Markdown. And if you were in Cornerstone and you've always wanted bold text in the results when you paste into Cornerstone, you would select rich text. And the tip there would be to grab the note from our desktop app. That's the way this route will actually keep the bold text when you paste it in. Don't drag and drop it, just copy and paste from the desktop app. And so this page here, global settings, it can affect the end result by the time it goes into your practice management software. There are some suggestions here with the PIMs you might have. If you don't see an option for the one you use, probably stick with rich text or plain text. Not too much else to say there, but I want to take you into the Taka text page over here, which is in your settings. So Taka texts, hopefully you know how they work. There's two major use cases for Taka texts. The first one would be just using direct dictation. So when your dictation widget is collapsed and you're not recording a SOAP note, but you're just talking directly into your practice management software, you can use Taka text to do like a voice macro. So imagine I'm in my PIMS and I'm looking at the chart and I'm just doing a direct dictation. I could turn it on and say, insert healthy puppy. Okay, and it will print out my Taka text. So that's the first use case for Taka text. The second use case is if you leverage the assistant ever, your Taka texts are all stored right here. So you can quickly access them and manipulate them or copy them over. And so that's the other use case for Taka texts, is to access them here in the assistant tab. If you have many, like I do, it can be difficult to find the one you want. So you can now pin your Taka text, and that will change how it's displayed. So it will pin it up at the top, making it more accessible for you. And you can pin your notes here in the web page version. You could also pin your notes here in the desktop version where you might make them. Awesome. Another small tweak that is helpful for anyone using custom notes is the ability to pin your custom note. So pinning it there will affect where it's placed in your list of templates. So when you're recording an exam and you want to choose which template to use, pinning it will put it at the top. So if you're using custom notes right now, not our default templates, you may want to pin your custom note just to make it more accessible. And if you pin it, you can keep it as the default option at the top of your list. Okay, and then that leads us into our default templates. So let me take you into the default template page, which looks like this. Of course, you've seen this before. Call out if you don't need any default templates, you could disable them by hiding them like that. There's been a few updates here to default templates. So firstly, a while back, now you can do different configurations for each one, all 4 of them. But as of this week, a couple things have changed. So if you're using just our default SOAP, if that's the one you use, small update in the back end that should reduce the amount of layman's terms that are popping up in the end result. We've been working hard to improve that. We've seen updates in the past. We just did one yesterday that should improve how those are handled, giving producing more medical terminology in the record. So that's the first one. And then to our multi-pet option, we've heard a lot of requests to get the body systems from the SOAP option into the multi-pet template. And that is now set up. So you don't see them here because you can't yet edit the body systems, but it will use the body systems that are in your default SOAP option. So whatever you've set your defaults up as here, when you use our multi-pet, it will use the same body systems and defaults. And so that's a pretty big update for anyone who's been waiting for that. Now you have all the body system names and the default normals in your multi-pet. If you don't like that, if you want to go back, we can undo that as well. Soon there'll be more toggles in the settings page that you can enable or disable, but we went ahead and put that change in for everybody. Another tweak to the default SOAP option is the assessment section. The assessment section has changed a little bit, and what it's doing now is it's more thorough, and it leans more towards the physical exam. It will reference that more, and it will group similar conditions together in the same bullet point. If you're using the default SOAP template, and for any reason you don't like the new assessment, there is another option to try. So just reach out to us and let us know. But that change was implemented this week, and the idea was that based on the feedback we've gathered, we've kind of tightened up that section and tried to make it better. There are a few more hidden options around just default templates. And what those are would be subheadings in the subjective portion and the plan portion. Right now, it kind of writes it all out, either as bullets or paragraph. But if you'd like, you could enable subheadings where it will kind of break it out into different categories. And soon we'll have toggles for that as well on the template page. But those are all, we can enable all those right now in the background. So if that's something you want to try, let us know and we can turn that on for you. Same with bold abnormal findings. So you've always been able to bold the system name on the SOAP, but not the abnormals. And now you can. Same idea, just let us know if you want it. There'll be a toggle for it very soon in the settings page, but that's something we could enable for you kind of in the background. Okay, and that will take us up to custom notes. So if you have only been using default templates and they're working for you, amazing. But if you've wondered, could I add a new row to the template? Could I make a second SOAP template? Custom notes may be the answer for you. So custom notes, how this works is you can create your own template. You essentially paste the template into this box, and then you give it a title. And when you save that, it will create a new option for you in your list of templates. So if you record on desktop, where you would pick your template is down here with this drop-down arrow. So you can see all my custom templates that I've built over time. And same on mobile, when you go to record your note, if you click in the middle where it says SOAP, you can then select your custom node. And again, you could pin that up as the default. So how do you make one? Well, it's really simple. We've actually made it more simple. You don't have to prompt it all that much. Really, all you have to do is drop a template in. If you don't know where to start, a good tip is to use the assistant. Just ask the assistant. You could ask it, ask it for the type of template you want. And you could be very specific. You could give it some rows to include, but it will generate one for you. And then you can copy this, and you could probably drag and drop it. Like, yeah, there you go. And then just remove that, any additional conversation from your assistant. And then now you're left with the template, and it's set up the way Talkatoo needs it to be. Give it a title, and then hit save. That'll now be available in your list. You can still tweak this a lot further. You can add extra rules down here. You could also totally change out any rows you want. If you want it to come back bolded in your inbox, and I'm going to pull up an example. So this is an example of a custom note that I have for dermatology exams, and I've got my headings bolded. So the trick for bolding your headings when you're building your custom note over here, you're going to put 2 stars, 2 asterisks on either side of the heading that you want bolded. Good news, if you want to leverage the assistant, you can. You could say, ask the assistant to do it. It'll be a bit faster. And then you can drop that in, and you'll see it puts your stars on for you. So that's how simple it is to build a template. It's going to get even easier very soon. But if you're looking for inspiration, feel free to ask the assistant for an option and then drop it in and hit save. Okay, and then while we're on the topic of templates, I want to also point out that in our web app here, you can always regenerate a template, and you can do that up here right above your transcript. So it'll show you which template you used or selected when you recorded the note, but it also gives you an option to regenerate into one of your other options. Most people know about the built-in discharge summary at the bottom of the SOAP option. So that's attached to our default SOAP. If you're using custom notes, that isn't really generated for you at the bottom. So you could in your custom note prompt it to include one of those at the bottom. But you could also come up with a more detailed version. And so I have one, I've already created it. And so once you've got your SOAP generated, if you want a more detailed discharge, you could simply regenerate it into that document. And this is an example, and you could get it to fill in with things like the owner's name, or you could have a specific signature at the bottom. And so using custom notes, you can create your own discharge. If the default option isn't long enough or clear enough or specific enough, maybe you have a signature that you really like, you can build it in custom notes, and then you can just turn it into that once you've moved the SOAP in. That's another way to think of using it. All right, and finally, just a call out to Call Summary, which most people on the call I'm sure are using. Call Summary allows you to place a call from the mobile app of Talkatoo on your phone. It will display the caller ID of your practice or whatever caller ID you want. And when you hang up the phone call, you'll be left with a summary of the call. And then you can drop that summary into your notes, and you can find the summaries in the desktop app as well and take them from here and drop them in. Call Summary is well loved by people who use it. We're actually adding in a couple more default templates, so they'll just show up in your list very soon. And one of them is for inbound calls. You can only use Call Summary for outbound calls right now. But if you picked up the practice telephone and you had your app beside you, there'll be a new template option just on the notes page. You could click Summary and then hit record, and that'll be added in very soon just to help you with your inbound calls that you get throughout the day, undoubtedly. So we're also adding a meeting notes option. A couple of people on this call are using an AI meeting note taker. So we're going to add one of those into the mobile app for Talkatoo for a staff meeting you might take. And then we're also adding a procedure note into the standard list of templates as well. Hopefully I've inspired you a little bit with the custom notes so you can come up with whatever you need here, but we want to add in more options to help people get closer to where they want to be. If you need help setting up call recording, if you know somebody in your practice who's already doing it, ask them. They've gone through the setup process. If you're brand new to it, get in touch with us and we can guide you through it. But just visit that tab on the app, and there's actually some built-in onboarding prompts. It'll kind of tell you exactly what to do. Once it's verified, once it's set up, it's going to look like this. And just like a regular telephone, you can dial your client. And if you ever want to change the caller ID, not everybody knows this, click at the top right and you can re-verify the number. Just click verify caller ID, and then you can re-enter your preferred caller ID here. Okie dokie. So that covers what's new since I've jumped on one of these last. And there are a couple of reminders for everybody. And the first one is everyone on this call is using Talkatoo or about to be using Talkatoo. And undoubtedly, you have some great ideas and some great feedback. So I just want to call out at the bottom of our website, if you scroll all the way down, there's an ideas and feedback tab. And if you click there, it's going to launch up our feedback portal. And this is where we take a lot of inspiration from to actually build new updates in Talkatoo. So jump in here when you have an idea and tell us what you want to see next. We always love when you add your ideas here. Another call out is, if you haven't done this in a while, be sure to quit the desktop app and reopen it. That will usually prompt an update if there's one available. And same with your mobile app, go into the Play Store or the App Store, search Talkatoo up, click on it, go to the app, and there may just be an update there waiting for you. So just a friendly reminder to try that, add your feedback, and